Alright, so I'm literally on the walkway onto the cruise now. So if you look to here, that's the cruise. That's the cruise right there. So yeah, like I mentioned in my last video, this is my first time on a cruise, so it almost feels like I'm boarding a plane, but it just feels weird. But yeah, hopefully it all goes well. And from this angle, the ship definitely looks massive. So yeah, hope to see you on board. Alright, so I'm now on board the ship, and this will be the cabin that I'll be staying for the next 2 weeks. So let's give you a quick look around. There's my brother Mershi, just chilling. And yeah, overall I think the room's quite nice, but it is actually smaller than I thought. But I think overall the interior and stuff are quite nice. So yeah, I guess for the next 2 weeks this will be my home. So yeah. Alright, so it's night time now, so I'll be going to bed in a little bit. So it's going to be the first night on the cruise, and I have to say that I'm feeling really tired at the moment. Well, I had to get up quite early to come to Southampton to board the cruise, and I'm now spending about 8 hours on the ship. I definitely feel tired because it's a very large ship, and getting to like the shows and then getting to the dining room and so forth is quite a ways. Like, it's quite far away from each other, so you have to do quite a lot of walking to get to places. So like I already said, it's almost like a mini city on this cruise. So yeah, I think overall so far it's been okay. I will say I do need to be careful of my binge eating, because there is actually a buffet on this cruise which is pretty much open all the time. So whenever I do eat, I need to make sure I manage what I eat and how much I eat. So I'm gonna need to be careful in that regard. But yeah, tomorrow is going to be the whole day on the cruise. So we're going to be staying on the sea for the whole day, and it's just going to be the third day that I get to the first location. So yeah, today has been quite eventful, so I'm feeling very tired now. So yeah, just thought I'd just kind of update on how it's been so far on the cruise. So today was pretty eventful on the cruise. So I basically just went round. So I attended a trivia class, which is just a quiz basically about various trivia. I didn't personally play myself, just because I don't feel my knowledge is really that great in terms of when it comes to trivia, but I enjoyed just kind of watching other people play. And yeah, I thought it was okay. Like, there was much more players than I thought. Like, the room itself is relatively large, and it maybe houses about maybe 30 seats, but it was just pretty packed in there. But yeah, I believe a young girl won the quiz, and I didn't quite see what she won, since it was inside a bag. So I'm sure there's probably some like various gift items that you can find here on the ship. And then right after the quiz, that it was another trivia quiz, but this time it's guess the music, and the singer that they chose for this quiz was based on Michael Jackson, and I think, you know, probably most people in the world knows who Michael Jackson is and has maybe heard one or two of his songs, and even if they don't know the name of the song, they probably memorized the melody and stuff. And I decided to stay for that one. Again, I didn't play, but I just wanted to see if I could guess the tunes myself from listening to like few seconds of each song. And I think I guessed maybe about 3 out of 15. But I already know a select few Michael Jackson songs, but again, it was nice seeing people play that quiz. And then right after that, I went to a theatre show, a live show, which is to watch Elvis Presley sing. And I mean, obviously it wasn't the real Elvis Presley, it was a person impersonating him, but I thought he was pretty good. Like, I thought the way he turned his voice and the kind of vocal style he went with really was relatively accurate to the real Elvis. I mean, I've never heard the real Elvis sing in person, but I have heard some of his songs over the years, so judging by that reference, I think it was pretty accurate. And then even my mum, so basically there was a section about towards the end of the show where he gives out scarves made in his name, and my mum actually went up there to receive one, so here's the clip of her now. And yeah, I thought overall it was quite a funny show, since the person who played Elvis kind of interacted with the audience quite a bit. Like, he actually came down and shook hands with people, offered women to kiss him on the cheek and stuff, and then, like I said, passed out many scarves to various women and even some men. But overall it was a funny and enjoyable show. So I just got off the cruise and now I've arrived at Greenock in Scotland. So there's the there's the cruise behind me. It's definitely a very large ship. But yeah, this is my second time in Scotland, so hopefully today goes well. So after going to Greenock for a walk, so basically I got off the ship, went around Greenock a little bit, just basically went up the hill, went to a local park, and then took some pictures. Also went to a fire museum which showcased a lot of like really old school fire engine vehicles that they used back in the day, and it was interesting to see those vehicles up and close. But I think when it comes to history, for me personally, it's a bit lost on me, just because like I didn't grow up during those times, so when I see these kind of like retro and really old school like museums, like it doesn't really bring too much feeling out of me. But in any case, I still thought it was nice to kind of, I guess, look back at what the world was kind of like back then and how vehicles looked and worked back in the day, way before I was born. And then after that, we tried to go to an art gallery, but unfortunately it's closed on today. So because of that and activities that they had going on the cruise, we decided to head back to the cruise after only a few hours on land. And then I just kind of went straight to the jacuzzi and went to the outdoor pool and the jacuzzi, and because it was quite a nice sunny day, it was nice and warm outside, and then the jacuzzi itself is very warm as well, so overall it's quite nice. So I only just got back after the jacuzzi, so yeah, right now I'm just kind of resting up in my room and then just waiting to hopefully see a magic show later tonight. So it's the 4th day on the cruise now, and to be honest, I think I'm starting to feel a bit bored. Like every day there are activities and stuff to do, but I don't know, none of them just really appeal to me. Like, I did go to a trivia show based on movie posters, and I did actually play this time. It was basically just to look at famous movie posters and then correctly guess which ones they were, and there were 20 of them, and I managed to get 5 right, so I mean, it's just a bit of fun, I guess. But after that, like, the rest of the day is like, none of the activities really appeal to me. Like, there's some more like dancing classes, watching movies, but not really movies that I'm looking to watch. Various like live music, like just sit down and listen to music. But there is a movie soundtrack trivia happening, but that's at 9 o'clock tonight, so now it's currently 12, so midday, and it's quite a wait until then. And today is relatively cold as well, so maybe a bit too chilly to go swimming outside. Indoors fine, but I've already went swimming in jacuzzi for the past 2 days, so there's only so many times I can just keep doing that. But yeah, like today and tomorrow we're going to be at sea, so quite a ways until I actually reach Iceland. But I do find that because I'm getting a bit bored and have not really anything to do, I am finding myself just visiting the buffet quite often, just out of boredom, I guess, which, you know, isn't that healthy. But I don't know, I just gotta help myself and make sure I don't overeat and, you know, gain a lot of weight on this holiday. But at the same time, because it is a buffet, there's so many choices to choose from that it's very tempting, and it's very kind of hard to resist myself to not have it. But yeah, just a little update, I guess, on my trip so far. So yeah, just gonna wait until tonight, I guess, for the trivia, and if anything major pops up, then I'll be sure to talk about it. So I managed to do the guess the movie soundtrack trivia quiz. Out of the 16 questions, I managed to get 7 of them correct. So there's definitely quite a lot of iconic movie themes featured, and then a lot of other ones are iconic, but I just didn't have any idea what they were from. And some of them I recognized the tune but didn't know what movie they were from. But Yeah, I think overall I did better than I thought I did. So I think overall it was quite a fun experience, and overall I think it went well. Well, this kind of sucks. Like I mentioned so far that I've just been pretty bored on this cruise so far. Like a lot of the activities just don't really appeal to me, and there's not much variety. But then just now, while I was just taking a stroll around the ship, I actually found a section which is dedicated to gaming. Like they actually have a PS5, Nintendo Switch, and then lots and lots of games in there. And I was like so excited that I found that area. And then I sat down, reached for the controller, and then was ready to play. And then a staff member just said that that room is just for teens only, just for, between age 15 and 17. And then I asked, I'm an adult, like I like to play games, can I play? And then he wouldn't let me, so that sucks. Like one of my biggest passion of video games that I've managed to find on this cruise, and I'm not even allowed to play. So it's disappointing, a bit unfair in a way, and just overall it just sucks. So I finally made it to Iceland, and it took a long time just to get on the land because the cruise is too big to reach the shore, so we had to depart to cross the river on a little boat, and that took ages. Honestly, I had to wait about 4 hours just to get off the cruise and onto the land. And I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the name of this part of Iceland, but I'll leave it at the top corner for you to see. But this is my first time on Iceland, and as expected it's raining, but it's not as cold as I thought, so I guess that's something positive. But I'm sure you can see all the mountains with the snow and stuff, so that's quite a nice scenery. But I'm just now exploring and see what else is here. So I've arrived in the next part of Iceland, and again I'm not going to try and pronounce the name, but I'll put it in the corner. But I'm at the moment just walking around the port, going through this centre. I visited that church which you can see there. Now I'm just walking around this lake. So overall it's quite a nice area. It's not raining today, but it is colder than yesterday, so it's to be expected, I guess, in Iceland. But overall, it seems to be quite a nice place. A lot of interesting architecture and just public art in various places. So overall, it's quite a nice area to see. So I've just arrived at Alessand, and this one I can actually pronounce the name of this place, but yeah, it seems to be quite a nice area. It's definitely got a lot of interesting mountains and landscapes, so you can see just like at the various locations. It's also got some interesting buildings, and I think another thing that's surprising is that it's quite hot as well. Like after being in Iceland, which is quite gloomy and cold, now coming here it's kind of the opposite, so it's kind of a bit surprising really, because it's like a neighboring continent, but the weather conditions are so different. So but yeah, it's a nice change that it's warm here. So yeah, for now I'm just gonna walk around the surrounding port and then maybe up one of the mountains, and then yeah, take pictures and record anything that's of interest to me. Whew, that was quite the hike. That was almost 200 steps up this mountain, but it's definitely got a very nice view. It's really warm, but you can see up there on the mountains there's actually covered in snow, so it's a weird combination of elements that somehow come nicely together. But yeah, hiking up this mountain was it's quite tiring, a lot of steps, very steep, but I think it was worth it for the view.
We will now have a few minutes stop here at Berikvom while we are waiting for the train coming from Myrdal. Please keep all exit doors closed during the stay. I repeat, please keep all exit doors closed.
Der Bahnhof Berikvom liegt auf halber Strecke zwischen Flom und Myrdal und ist der einzige Ort.
It must be a lot of water in these rocks then, eh?
So the last 2 days of the holiday on the cruise has been a bit not really that great overall. So it was 2 days ago now, so, well, 2.5 days that I went to Malloy, and although it was a nice area, like it had some nice locations and then some nice mountains as well, the experience there for me wasn't that great, just because well, on the night before, when I went to Alessand, during the hiking, I twisted my knee on the way down from the mountain. I mean, due to my weights, like I put a lot of pressure on both of my knees, so they're constantly in pain most of the time, so I always have to really take it easy when I go upstairs and down and stuff. But when I was in Alessand, I had some bad footing while climbing down from a rock, and due to the angle I was descending and then the uneven terrain, I twisted my right knee, and then to this day it still hurts more than usual, so I have to really take it easy even when just doing regular flat walking. So when I was in Malloy, I couldn't really go any up the mountains, and even just going across this really long bridge that connects 2 islands together, it has quite a bit of an arc to it. So for half of it there was quite a steep hill, so I was really struggling to go up that hill and then back down again. And then the nosebleeds, so if you've been following me on this channel, I usually say that I often get really severe nosebleeds around summertime, so around the months of June and July, and unfortunately they've started again this year. So I had those, and with the medicine that I usually take for it at home, I'm kinda stuck with having really bad nosebleeds for the rest of the cruise. So while I was in Malloy, you know, I kept getting nosebleeds while walking out and stuff, and you know, it just becomes really annoying and makes it really hard to kind of like enjoy the holiday. So along with my bad knee and severe nosebleeds, my mum also had a little bit of a fall on the stairs, and she actually fell, like while ascending some stairs, she fell pretty much right onto her face. So she says she's fine. She only has a little bit of a pain in her shoulder, and I've asked her many times if she's okay. She said, you know, she's fine, it's nothing serious, but I can tell that she's definitely taking it a bit more easier now, and I can see that she does have pain with her shoulder and when it comes to lifting things. And then the next day we went to Flam, and again, like Malloy, it was a very nice location, very nice views and scenery, and really nice mountains. But with my bad knee and then my nosebleeds getting worse, it was just really hard to enjoy my time there. Like, we went up down to the port, and then we managed to book a train to basically go up the mountain to see a waterfall. And before that, we went up for a little, like, small hike up the mountain, and I really struggled going up, but I really wanted to kind of see what was up on the mountain, and I didn't really want to hold anyone back from going there because of me. So I managed to go up there, and then halfway up the mountain I couldn't really ascend anymore, so I decided to take a seat and let everyone else go the rest of the way. And then while on the seat, I got a nosebleed, not just from one but both of my nostrils, and with no tissue, well, without much tissue on me, I basically had no choice but to just sit on the bench and just to look downwards to let all my blood from my nose just drip down to the floor. And I know most people, when they get a nosebleed, they usually tilt their head up and hold their nose, but it doesn't really work for me. And then it ends up like the blood drying in my nose, and it makes it really, really hard for me to breathe. So I kind of have no choice but to let the blood basically pour out until it naturally stops. So I was like on that bench just dripping blood down to the floor for about 30 minutes. And yeah, it was just not a pleasant experience at all. Like, here I was just sitting halfway up the mountain with a really nice view and a really nice weather as well, and all I could do is just stare at the ground and watch my own blood pour out. It was just a horrific sight. And then when other visitors came up, I tried to shield myself to spare them the sight of so much blood, basically. Whether they saw me or not, I don't know, but yeah, all I could do was do my part to try and shield myself. And then once it stopped, like I said, I didn't really have any tissue on board, so I had no choice but to basically cover my whole face with one hand, because there was dried up blood pretty much all over my face. So I had to cover up my face and then walk about 20 minutes back to the nearest toilet, and it was just, that was a very not a very just not a very good experience, just covering my face. It almost made me feel like, there's some blood on my hand and here and there, and it almost made me feel like I just did a crime or something and just tried to sneak away. But I got to the toilet and just basically cleaned myself up, and then told my mum all about it when we met up, and then finally got on the train. And then the train itself is one of those really like old school kind of trains, so the seating and the interior inside was all wooden, and it was quite an old design, so it wasn't like the most comfortable train to be on, but it was definitely really hot in there because there was no aircon, and it was old style windows, so they don't really open that much, and the train had a lot of delays as well, so we were just sitting in the carriages for a really long time and just basically being baked. But I will say the actual journey itself, there was a lot of nice landscapes and sceneries, and I'll show up some pictures that I took along the way. And then the main waterfall we got to was very interesting as well. It's a very rough, rugged sort of waterfall, and I did manage to take a video of it from the train. We did have the options to get off, but I decided to stay in just because I didn't want to catch a fever again, just because I did have a fever a few days before, from switching between hot to cold to hot again, just because the area around the waterfall is very cold. But my mum says she went out, and then she also saw that there was a woman dressed in a red dress singing along with the waterfall as well. So I could hear it from the train, but I guess I did manage to see the woman from the train from a distance, but overall I thought it was worth going up there to see that. And then we traveled back down and then got back on the ship, and then just took the rest of the day kind of easy, I guess. I was so tired after the trip, and I was feeling pretty tired anyway before going out, so I just kind of slept and took the rest of the day easy. But like I said, the last 2 days to Malloy and Flam I want to say I did overall enjoy those locations, but because of all the negative things I've just mentioned, it makes it really hard to kind of really enjoy those 2 days really. But now it's the next day, so we're now going to be at sea for 2 days until we return to the UK. So in terms of going to locations on the holiday, that's pretty much over, so now it's just a journey back home. So today, I'm still had quite a few nosebleeds already, and I'm feeling quite tired, and I feel that my fever hasn't completely gone away yet, so overall I'm just kind of taking it easy today. So I've just had dinner, and this pretty much concludes the end of the holiday. And yeah, I think overall, so firstly I want to say that this past 2 weeks has felt, it almost felt like I've been living in another world, like a isolated world on the ship, if that makes sense. Just because like everyone is kind of on this cruise and is kind of like living on this cruise for the past 2 weeks, and because we're all out in the wide open sea, it feels very isolated. And then but at the same time it almost feels like a little mini city because you have so many facilities on board the cruise. But have I enjoyed my holiday on my first cruise? So I think I'm gonna divide it into two parts. So first off, the cruise itself, I think it is very well managed. Like a lot of the staff are for the most part quite friendly, and the ship itself is very clean and well kept. And just my room that I'm living in itself, like the staff pretty much come and clean the room about 3 times a day. So every time I go out the door and then come back in, like the beds have been made, the towels have been replaced, the bathroom has been wiped clean, and yeah, almost just like very well maintained. And all the other facilities and rooms are very clean as well. So like all the carpets are always cleaned and hoovered, and then overall everything is just always really spotless. And in terms of the activities, there are quite a lot of activities, but I don't feel that it's really that varied. Like every day there's like stretching, aerobics, and then there's like 3 dance classes a day, a lot of trivia quizzes, and then there's like live music in the evening. But I think I mentioned this like in an earlier video, is that not many of the activities really appeal to me. Like I talked about how I found a place where you can go and play video games with other people, but they only allow up to ages of 17, so sadly I wasn't able to attend. But because of that, like a lot of times I did feel a bit bored, like just didn't really have not much interest in the activities. Like the most I did is just kind of go to the trivia quizzes, played a few of them, and then just kind of watched and listened to most of them. And I went to watch a lot of shows in the theatre as well. Like a lot of them were mainly about singing and dancing, but yeah, overall I just found that I kind of spent a lot of my time just kind of in my room really, and just like playing on handheld video games, which, you know, I didn't really want to do just because that's something that I do at home anyway. And being on the cruise and on holiday, you know, I want to do different stuff and kind of enjoy the facilities they offer. But like I said, a lot of the activities just didn't really appeal to me that much. The they do seem to be targeted to more kind of the older people, like the kind of activities, so maybe that's why it didn't really appeal to me as much. So in terms of like how the cruise is operated, how clean it is and how well maintained, and how the staff work to maintain the cruise, I think overall it probably gets about, I'd give it about an 8.5, maybe a 9. So when it comes to, but then this is when I said I would divide it, so this is my actual experience on the cruise this time. Like I said, a lot of the activities didn't really appeal to me, so I felt quite bored a lot of the time. And then the locations we went to, it was interesting going to Iceland. Like I mentioned that it was quite cold up there, and then the second day on Iceland was a bit of a pain to get to because we had to cross to the island on ship, on like a small boat, and that took a lot of time, so that was very like just a bit of a pain to do really. And then when we went to Norway, to Malloy, Ellesund and Flam, that's when I mentioned that I twisted my knee, and then I started getting the nosebleeds, and like my mum had the fall of the accident as well. So because of those things, it kind of did sour the end of the holiday a little bit. So overall, from my personal experience on this holiday, I'll probably give it about maybe 6.5 out of 10. But like my mom's already asked me would I be willing to go on another cruise in the future. I just couldn't really give her an answer. Like I would have to see what the activities are like, I guess, and it also depends on the places that we'll visit, but that's like for another time. But yeah, this part of the video is mainly just like conclude the holiday, and I feel that this past 2 weeks does feel, like I said, like I'm living in a different world. Like pretty much everything is taken care for me. So the bed's made for me, the bathroom's cleaned for me. When I go up to eat, the dishes and cutlery's all sorted out for me. Like when I finish eating, I don't need to take the plate anywhere. I just leave it on a table, and then staff members will take it away and clean it. And it just feels like all of your mess is cleaned up for you, and it's like it just feels very luxurious, I guess. And I can kind of see that if I were on a longer like holiday, like maybe a month or 6 weeks holiday on a cruise, I feel that it's easy to get spoiled with this lifestyle, like having everything just cleaned up and taken care for you. But yeah, tomorrow when I wake up, we'll be back in England again, and then we'll just take the car up to my actual home, and yeah, it's back to living my usual life, I guess. So overall, I think this cruise has been quite a unique and interesting experience. It's like living in a hotel, but more luxurious, I guess. And yeah, like part of me is a bit sad to kind of leave the cruise, but another part of me is kind of excited to get back to my actual home, I suppose. And yeah, I mentioned before the holiday that I wanted to take a break from my writing and drawings for my book, and now that it's been 2 weeks on holiday, I think I'm ready to get back to working on my book when I get back home tomorrow. Not straight away, but like getting back home, I'm gonna need to unpack and stuff, but then maybe like next week I'll resume work on the book. But yeah, like I said, this part of the video is to kind of conclude this holiday on the cruise, and is the segue back to my usual life at home, I guess. So hope you've enjoyed this week's video. Well, there's 2 weeks of video. It was definitely a lot of stuff that I had to report on and kind of talk about, so I know it's quite a longer video, but yeah, overall I hope you've enjoyed watching and listening to what my experience on the cruise has been. And then next week we'll hopefully be back to how my usual videos usually are.
So he strikes.